Hello friends, today November 5th, 2012, and I'm sitting here again with a cup of water and cake, because it's late autumn and you can say, well, what about entomological stories in late autumn? It's boring. It's up to you. I will tell you the story in this late autumn. What's that? Yes. That's a beetle. I will tell you a story about it. This tiny beetle, Ladybird, not this big one, it's not this so big, very tiny. I collected this Ladybird on this plant, dogwood, and I found that this Ladybird is quite unusual. Why? Because here in Kiev, in Ukraine, in this late autumn, I found many plants of this hardwood species with this pupa on upper side of leaves. And I really realized immediately this Ladybird, easy to understand, because this is special shape of pupa, or now it's just only shells. These are shells, empty shells, because Ladybirds just emerged in these warm days. Some days were very cool, some were very warm. So they emerged and they were just crawling around. I collected some of them, put in my bag to check who is this. And I found quite easy that that's not a common species of a ladybird. That's not 4 points ladybirds. That's another species. That's invasive species, which is already widely distributed in Europe. And you see, all of them were just coming out of my bag. They're orange with black spots, or black with orange spots. Yeah, quite many different variations of coloration. That's a special peculiarity of this species, because this is Asian or Japanese ladybird. And this is species which was named as arlequin, quite a big size species, or Harmonia axyridis in Latin. And why it's arlequin? Because this species is bigger than common species of ladybird, for sports ladybird and other species. And there are some special peculiarities of behavior of this species. Actually, biology is similar as for another ladybirds. Larvae and adults were feeding on aphids, on sucking insects on different plants. Well, what else? But this species was widely distributed in Europe, you see. All of them were just coming out in my bag. They're pretty nice. Ladybird, ladybird, go to your children. I love you very much from my childhood. But this is invasive species. Why? Because this species was widely reared for pie control in Europe and just spread all around the Europe in different countries. And finally, here in Ukraine and maybe in other countries, this species found also quite suitable places for rearing, for breeding. For instance, here the species found aphids on this hardwood plant and hardwood aphid. This species is developing not only on this plant, which is quite common species for ornamental purposes and is growing around different buildings, but in springtime aphids just emerged from eggs, and this species of aphid is growing on roots of different Raminacea, different grasses. In the mid-summer, aphids coming out and appeared not only wingless generation, but also generation with wings, which is migrated to hardwood, and in not late autumn, in late summer or early autumn, many individual specimens of hardwood aphid appeared on this plant. Actually, all plants were just not brown but black, because downside of leaves were completely full of aphids. But now, if I turn these leaves, they're actually free of aphids and only shells of beetles on the upper side, because larvae of beetles, they ate all larvae and adults of aphids. Actually, aphids growing very quickly on hardwood, and in September many females and males, they just mated and they just distributed all around, because they are with wings, and you could find just a spreading of dust all around trees and plants, because there were so many individuals of this aphid. But later, in late September, their population declined, and later in October and even now in November, you can find only shells, empty shells, or just living pupae of this ladybird. And what's special about this ladybird, despite it's just occasionally introduced species or just invasive species which entered to another area, like this from north part of Ukraine, and it was indicated already in literature in 2009. And now this species quite widely distributed, and I found a good population just near my house, and if you are walking around, I can see it practically everywhere. Many individuals. That this species, firstly, is more aggressive, and population of other species of ladybirds declined, and also this is predaceous species which used for biocontrol of aphids in Europe. Distribution original, that's Asia, Siberia, then of course Europe, because it was artificially distributed. Now this species distributed in Ukraine. Probably this species will be widely distributed in Russia, because it's definitely going to north because of this process of global warming. But also this species has slightly negative effect. Just population of other species is going to decline, because this species is more aggressive. And also adults, where sometimes can damage fruits of some fruit plants. Oh, the number of fruits not so high, but there is kind of damage, so we should be careful. And also another, just a little bit irritative peculiarity of ladybird, this species, that this species must pupate somewhere in hidden place. But this hidden place not under the leaves, as common ladybird birds do, but somewhere in hidden places, maybe in buildings or in surrounding areas near buildings. So this species has this unusual, trying to fly, to hide somewhere near your house. So don't be surprised that if you will find many of these funny ladybirds which are black and with orange spots inside your house or near your house, because this fish is trying to hide there. And of course, a little bit irritated the smell of ladybirds, because if you touch it, ladybird try to generate a little bit hemolymph, the blood, so it smells. That's why this species is not eatable for predators like birds, and we're trying to avoid them. So the population is growing, and this species is trying to spread around more quickly. Difficult to say immediately now long time effect on other species, but now we should say that this is effect maybe of global warming, and maybe just of such a distribution of different species under new conditions of growing human population. So nature is changing, and because of human it changed so much, and the species which used for biological control is trying to distribute everywhere without influence on human being. So that's a story about Asian Ladybird, this tiny beetle about these aphids, and hope see you soon in other entomological stories. Good luck!